Let's get honest about something. The crypto market is split into two games. Game 1 is what you see on social media. Projects with celebrity spokespeople, TikTok marketing, Discord pump and dumps, and roadmaps that never ship. That's the game designed to separate retail from their money. Fast, loud, dramatic. Game 2 is happening in corporate boardrooms, government agencies, and enterprise infrastructure. No Twitter updates, no podcast tours, no community managers begging for engagement, just building. Hedera plays Game 2, and it's winning so hard that retail doesn't even see the scoreboard. Here's the thing. Hedera launched in 2018, back when everybody and their cousin was trying to build a blockchain, but the founders, Dr. Lehman Baird and Mance Harmon, had a radical idea. Instead of chasing retail FOMO, they asked, what if we designed this for actual enterprises from day one? Speed, security, trust. Those three things became the pillars, not liquidity pools, not NFT collections, not yield farming gimmicks, just what institutions actually need. That decision made Hedera invisible to retail, but indispensable to enterprise. Now let's talk about the secret that should make you understand why institutions trust Hedera while they're skeptical of every other blockchain. The Hedera Council. 39 of the world's biggest corporations literally run nodes and vote on network decisions. We're talking about Google, IBM, LG, Dell, Accenture, Chainlink Labs, and dozens of others. Collectively, these companies represent over $3 trillion in market capitalization. Let that sink in for a second. 3 trillion. That's not venture capitalists. That's not Reddit moderators. That's not some dude with a YouTube channel. It's the actual backbone of global infrastructure. But here's what makes it brilliant. Council seats have term limits, 2 to 3 years. That means no single company gets permanent control. No single entity can hijack the network. The incentive structure prevents the founder worship problem that plagues every other layer 1. Compare that to Bitcoin, where miners control consensus, or Ethereum, where the founder's opinion moves the entire network, or Solana, where venture firms control token distribution. Hedera said, what if we spread power across 39 Fortune 500 companies with rotating seats? That's not sexy. It's not a good story for the media, but it's exponentially more credible to institutional investors. Think about it. Would Google, IBM, and Intel really run nodes on a network they didn't believe in long-term? Would they put their reputations on the line for something with no institutional future? No, these companies bet their credibility on their technology choices. When Google runs a Hedera node, it's essentially saying to every other enterprise on Earth, this infrastructure is production grade. We stake our reputation on it. That's institutional validation that money just can't buy. Now, here's where things get really interesting. Hbar just got approved for a US ETF. Do you understand what that means? An ETF approval isn't just a listing, it's regulatory blessing. The SEC looked at Hedera's governance, its technology, its tokenomics, its security architecture, and said, yeah, this is legitimate. Institutions can buy this without legal risk. Bitcoin went through this in 2021. Ethereum went through this in 2024. Now Hedera, 3 cryptocurrencies approved for ETFs, not thousands, not hundreds. 3. But it gets better. Over a dozen additional ETF filings already reference Hbar. That means money managers, asset allocators, and institutional funds are building products around Hedera. Not speculation, not options trading, actual asset allocation. This isn't hype. This is infrastructure deployment. This is the kind of move that happens when institutions decide, we're committing to this network for the next decade. And while retail's checking CoinMarketCap to see if Hbar pumped, institutions are filing paperwork to move billions into Hedera infrastructure. The game's already moving. Most people just haven't noticed yet. Right now, if you're watching this and you're not yet subscribed, you need to subscribe. Because what we're about to cover, the real enterprise use cases that are already live, this is the information that separates people who understand where crypto's heading from people who still think it's all about DeFi yield farming. Like this video. Subscribe. Turn on notifications, because we're covering the infrastructure plays that institutions are betting trillions on. Let's keep building this community together. Here's where the story gets concrete. Not roadmap, not promises, not coming soon. I'm talking about production systems running right now. Nvidia and Intel are using Hedera for verifiable AI systems. Think about that. The two companies that power global AI infrastructure chose Hedera as their blockchain layer. That's not a random partnership. That's a strategic choice made by companies that have literally thousands of blockchain options. Accenture, one of the world's largest consulting firms, is building enterprise-grade infrastructure on Hedera. They're not building toys, they're building systems that service Fortune 500 companies. The Wyoming FR&T stable token testnet, that's a government project. The state of Wyoming looked at blockchain options and selected Hedera for government-facing initiatives. Governments don't choose blockchains based on social media hype. They choose based on security, governance credibility, and institutional track record. So, Hedera is expanding into real-world asset tokenization, and honestly, that sector could be worth trillions. We're talking about tokenizing things like real estate, commodities, supply chain assets, and even intellectual property rights. The infrastructure for all of this, it really needs to be bulletproof. And, Hedera's building that infrastructure. Enterprise DeFi is also happening. But, let's be real, it's not TikTok traders farming yield. It's actually institutional-grade products designed for compliance frameworks, risk management, and regulatory alignment. We're talking about the kind of DeFi that actually works inside corporate treasury departments. And if you look at the recent ecosystem integrations, you see BitGo wrapping Bitcoin on Hedera, Axelar connecting Hedera to over 60 blockchains, and Sigma Finance bringing real-world yield products. This isn't scattered development. This is honestly systematic infrastructure expansion. The developer community's also scaling. Projects like Dead Pixels Club and Victoria AI show that innovation isn't limited to enterprise, but it's also not just about casino mechanics. Real builders are building real things. Messari's third quarter data confirms it. There's steady growth in total value locked, staked Hbar, stablecoin usage, and new accounts. That's the kind of metrics that point to genuine adoption, not just speculation wave. Now, let me be direct about what this means. Hedera isn't trying to win the crypto popularity contest, and that's precisely why it could end up mattering more than everything else. Most Layer 1 projects are playing for attention. They need retail FOMO to justify valuations. They need price pumps to pay employees. They need buzz to stay relevant in a crowded market. Hedera is playing for adoption. And those are two fundamentally different games. One burns hot and crashes hard. The other builds slowly and compounds year after year. If institutional crypto adoption accelerates, and all the signals suggest it will, Hedera's positioned to capture disproportionate value, not because of marketing, because of fundamental credibility and production-ready infrastructure. The ETF approvals aren't the finish line, they're actually the starting line for institutional capital deployment. Money managers can now allocate to Hedera through regulated vehicles, and that opens up pension funds, retirement accounts, endowments, and even sovereign wealth funds. That capital doesn't move fast, it moves big. And when it moves toward Hedera, it's not just buying into a narrative, it's buying into infrastructure that corporations, governments, and AI systems are already depending on. That's the difference between hype and value. And Hedera's sitting firmly in the value column. If you found this breakdown valuable, if you're starting to see why institutional infrastructure matters more than hype, hit subscribe right now. This channel is about understanding what's actually happening in crypto beneath all the noise. The infrastructure plays, the governance models that actually work, the networks that matter 5 years from now, not 5 days from now. Join us. Let's build something real together. So here's the bottom line on Hedera. This is a blockchain that prioritizes long-term institutional relevance over short-term retail excitement. The governance model is unmatched. The enterprise partnerships are production grade. The infrastructure is being deployed right now. And the ETF approvals are just signaling that traditional finance is finally catching up to what institutions already knew. In a market obsessed with hype cycles and narrative wars, Hedera's playing an entirely different game. It's not trying to be loud. It's trying to be foundational. And if you want to understand where real value accumulates in crypto, you need to understand the difference between these two approaches. Before you go, check out our other deep dives on Layer 1 governance models, institutional crypto adoption, and why enterprise blockchain infrastructure is where the real money's going. I linked them in the description and they're showing in your suggested videos right now. Thanks for watching TJ Crypto World. Stay informed, stay analytical, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.